Let's do some questions where we have fractions. One of the key things that we can do in solving an equation with fractions is to first get rid of all the fractions. Now, how we're going to get rid of the fractions is to divide out the denominator. So our denominator here, we have a 5, we have a 2, we have a 10, and in our last term, 1 is a whole number. Any whole number over 1 becomes a fraction. We need to find a common denominator between all of the terms. So I can either multiply all of the denominators together, in this case would give me 100, or I could look on the multiplication table and see what shows up in the 5s, 2s, and 10s. So the possibilities, we could do 10, we could also do 100, and there's several other ones, but 10 is the first one that shows up in the list, and 100 is what we get if we multiplied all of these together. I'm going to pick 10 because 10 seems to be the smallest one and probably easier to work with. Now, if you can't find it, you can always multiply it together and you'll get what you need. Now, I have 4 different terms here. Remember, terms are separated by operators like addition, subtraction, or an equal sign. And so I can see that here's a term, here's a term, here's a term, and lastly, 1 is also a term. I'm going to multiply each term by the common denominator. So the first one, I'm going to put a bracket on the outside and multiply 10. Actually, let me rewrite that. The 10 is part of the numerator. I'm going to multiply a 10 as well. I'm going to multiply a 10 again, and the last number, multiply a 10 again. Now, when we're multiplying it by a 10, order of operation says that multiplication and division are on the same level. So I could multiply or divide first, going left to right. In this case, we have numbers that are top to bottom, and we have some that are left to right. So order of operation says that multiplication and division are on the same level. Do either first, but you must go left to right. Now, in this case, we're doing it top and bottom. So I have 10, I'm dividing it by 5. 10 divided by 5 gives us 2. Next, 10 divided by 2. This gives us a 5. Ten divided by 10 That divides out altogether. That's a 10, and I have 10 times 1. So let's simplify. I'm going to rewrite what I have. 2 bracket 2a plus 5 times a plus 1 equals 10 times 1. Now, you may have already done this step in your head, and if you did, that's fine. Let's rewrite it in the simplified form. So 4a plus 5a plus 1 is equal to 10. Let's simplify again by collecting our like terms. 9a plus 1 is equal to 10. Rewrite it by rearranging. 9a equals 10 minus 1. 9a is equal to 9. So I'm going to divide 9a by 9. And we have a is equal to 1. The ending part, you have seen all of this before. The only thing new in these questions is taking the common denominator, multiplying each term so that we get rid of the denominator. So the main strategy, find a common denominator, multiply it to each term so that the denominator divides out. Now, in this question, how many terms do we have? We have 2 terms here because we know that this entire thing is a term and this is a term. So since this is a fraction, it's a whole fraction because it's over one number. So the positive sign here doesn't change the fact that this is still one term. Next, we need to find a common denominator. Now remember, any whole number can be made a fraction by dividing by 1. So negative 3 is equal to negative 3 over 1. We have 2 terms, and our common denominator in this case between 4 and 1 is 4. I'm going to multiply 4 to each of the 2 terms. So we have 4 bracket 3 times k plus 2 divided by 4, close the brackets, equals 4 times negative 3. Now let's divide out the denominator. 4 divided by 4 is 1. The only thing we have left on our left-hand side, 3 bracket k plus 2. Now it's all multiplied by a 1, but we know that when there's a 1, nothing changes. Then I have 4 times negative 3, that's negative 12. Let's simplify by expanding. So 3k plus 6 equals negative 12. 3k is equal to negative 12 minus 6. 3k is equal to negative 18. I'm going to divide both sides by the coefficient, and we have k is equal to negative 6. Another 2 examples here. Let's remember the number of terms that we have. In this case, we have 3 terms. This fraction is 1 term, plus 1 as a whole number is a term, and This fraction on the other side is also a term. We have the denominators of 3, 1, and 2. So our common denominator is 6. Let's multiply 6 to each of these terms. 6 times y plus 1 divided by 3 plus 6 times 1 is equal to 6 times 3y minus 2 divided by 2. Divide out the denominator. 6 divided by 3 gives us 2. I have 2 times y plus 1. This is a straight multiplication. 6 times 1 is 6. And this is equal to 6 divided by 2. 3. 3 times 3y minus 2. Now we have 2y plus 2 plus 6 is equal to 9y minus 6y. Let's collect the like terms on each side. 2y plus 8 is equal to 3y. I'm going to rearrange so that we have all the y's on the left-hand side and all the numbers on the other. 2y minus 3y is equal to negative 8. Negative 1y equals negative 8, and we're not finished here because we must have a positive variable. I need to divide both sides by negative 1. We have y is equal to 8. Last example here, we have two terms, one term with the denominator of 8 and one term with the denominator of 2. So common denominators. You might have noticed that 8 appears on both of the 2 and the 8 multiplication table, or you could use 16, or there's other ones as well, but I'll leave it at either 8 or 16. Let's multiply each term now. I'll use 16 this time. So we have r minus 1 divided by 8. This is equal to 8 times r plus 2 over 2. Let's divide 16 divided by 8. That's 2. R minus 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. R plus 2. Let's expand. 2r minus 2 equals 4r plus 2. Let's simplify and rearrange. 2r minus 4r equals 2 plus 2. Negative 2r is equal to 4. And we're going to divide both sides by negative 2. R is equal to negative 2.